what is up, y'all? Welcome to Game Day, solo game day, as it were. Here at Heavy Cardboard, teach, play, and discuss medium and heavy strategy board games, war games 18xx. I am your host, Edward Euler. Happy to be joined, well, by y'all. So hopefully you guys are having a great, whatever the hell day it is today. Think it's Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? I'm guessing it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. All right, good guess there. All right, today we are playing The Search for Planet X, designed by Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett, and published by Foxtrot Games, as well as REnegade Games Studio. Now, full disclosure, this showed up in the mail one day a few weeks back. I have no idea. I don't know if it came from Renegade or from Foxtrot. It just showed up unannounced. So, thanks to whoever it was that sent us this so that we could bring it to y'all today. So welcome everybody watching live around the world as well as after the fact. So if you guys do enjoy the stream today, not yet, but if you do enjoy it, give it a thumb, subscribe, support the show over on pledgehc.com, all that stuff. I would appreciate it. I'll check in with y'all a little bit later when I think we've actually made some hay in this. Now, today's stream, obviously it's a solo game. On top of that, it has an app. We're going to discuss all of that at the end of the show. So I beg your patience on comments about the app and all this stuff and apps and board games and all that. But it's definitely something I'm going to want to delve into as we go along. Now, it's a deduction game, right? It's a logic game. It's a logic puzzle. I grew up, y'all ever remember those magazines? Either magazines or workbooks, and they have the logic puzzles. Well, if this is true and this is true, then that can't be true. That's kind of what this game is, but it's about space exploration, looking at the night sky and trying to discover the location of Planet X. Now, this game has two different modes. It has regular mode, it has expert mode. I realize this is heavy cardboard, but I suck at these. And I'm already going to embarrass myself playing against the bot, even with your guys' help. So we're just going to play the regular mode this week. And if you guys enjoyed this, we'll do the expert mode so I can colossally embarrass myself next week. But we'll see on that. So it's going to be the regular mode, and we're playing the solo, so we're playing against the bot. Okay. Now, when I teach this, I'm going to be teaching it only from the solo game perspective, although I will say that like 98% of the game is the same. It's not a tough game mechanically, but there are steps that you need to follow that I am probably going to try and forget that I need the Peanut Gallery's help with for keeping track and making sure I don't forget to do stuff. All right. So without further ado, if you guys are ready, I'm ready-ish. Let's go ahead and get into the search for Planet X. All right, so what are we looking at here? Well, we have the main game board, and the main game board, there we go. The main game board is broken up into sectors, okay? So as you can see, there are sectors 1 through 6, which are currently visible. 7 through 12 are not going to be visible. On the other side of this board is the expert version, which I believe there's 18 sectors instead of 12, all right? Now, what else are you looking at here? Well, we have our player marker, because yellow, duh, and the bot, which will be purple. Now, it'll be purple and blue, kind of both, because in the solo rules, whenever the game makes a theory, we're just going to take one of these markers and put it face down. When it's a confirmed theory, we will then use the blue markers. So both of these markers here will be used for the bot player, and obviously I will be using the yellow markers over here for mine. So as I said, I have a player piece in my color. Then I have theory markers. I have 4 asteroids. I have 2 comets, 2 gas clouds, and 1 dwarf planet. And then I have 2 targets that I may spend to be able to target. I'll get into that more here as I go along. All right. Now, on top of all of that, you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, there is a worksheet, I think, or a work pad, I think, but we're actually only using 1 sheet of it. Now, you'll notice that it says winter solstice up here in the top left corner, because that is the side that is facing us here, so winter side, okay. And the standard mode, so 12 sectors, so that's what we have. And this is laid out exactly how the board looks to us. So sector 1 is down here in the bottom left, sector 1 is bottom left, okay, so on and so forth. Then it shows the various objects that we're going to be discovering and making theories on out here in the night sky. And then our actions over here, the different research and conference notes, which I will explain as we go along, and then final scoring over there. Now, you are going to need a pencil, but I went ahead and decided, you know what? I went ahead and got a green pen and a orange pen. Orange is going to be used for I think these are true, and green is confirmed that these are true. That's unnecessary, but I figure since we're going to be streaming this, I'll go ahead and spell it out and make it obvious for you guys at home. All right? At the edge of our solar system, a dark planet may lurk. In this competitive logic game, players take on the role of astronomers, surveying the night sky and attempting to deduce the location of this hidden planet. Do you have what it takes to find Planet X? All right, so the goal of the game. Earn renown, i.e. victory points at the end of the game, by locating Planet X and by submitting correct theories about the locations of other objects in the solar system, i.e. asteroids, comets, gas clouds, and dwarf planet. The player who contributes the most to the astronomical investigation will score the most points and win the game. So yes, I will be scoring against the bot, and I'm not good at this. So there's that, all right? But we're gonna have fun with this. So as I mentioned, the game has two modes, standard mode or expert mode, but we are only going to worry about the standard mode for today's playthrough. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about, first off, how do we set things up? Well, let's go ahead and take a look down here. Down below, we have our player screen. Now, obviously, since this is a solo playthrough, I thought, why not just lay out the screen so that you guys can see all the information, because who am I hiding it from? Nobody. It's solo. All right, so turnover view is such. So we're going to take one action, and we'll go through the app for taking our action. Those are the various actions that we can take. And then when we take our action, we need to advance our player pawn as shown there. And then finally, rotate the Earth board. We need to do that after every player's turn. I will need help from the peanut gallery not to forget to do this. This is the thing that I've noticed that is the easiest thing to forget, is rotate the Earth board. So help me remember that, all right? So before I go any further, now that I have gone through the turn overview, honestly, I think what I ought to do at this point is introduce you guys to the app. So the app is available on, it's in the rules, I think it's planetxapp.com or in the Google Store or whatever. So I'm using my tablet here. I've already downloaded it and everything, got it already set up. Now, you'll notice that down here in the bottom right hand or bottom left hand corner, start solo game. Okay, let's do that. So we hit that, cool. Then solo instructions, cool, already printed those out, we're good to go. But start new solo game, okay, done. Now, are we playing the standard or expert? Obviously we're playing the standard, okay, start game, boom, there. All right, so now we have a game code. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and enter that just up here in the corner of our notepad. Okay, so C8F4. So C8F4. All right, just for tracking purposes. All right, cool. All right, done. Then we hit continue. All right, now choose our view. What side of the board are we sitting on? Woohoo! Did I accidentally hit the right button? I got too close on that. We're on the winter side. We know that because we're sitting on the winter side there. Okay, cool. Now, because I don't want to get completely laughed at for going too easy, I'll do the experienced, although I'll be honest, the beginner is probably more my skill level, all right? But we'll go ahead and do the experienced. So we're going to get 4 facts. View our starting information. Okay, so that is the things that we know at the start of the game. So in Sector 3, there's not a dwarf planet. Sector 5 is not a gas cloud. Sector 7, not an asteroid. And 11, not a dwarf planet. Awesome. Well, what the hell do we do with this information? Well, I'm glad you asked that. So let's go ahead and take a look at our player pad here, okay? A little bit more up close, as it were, okay? All right, so we have our player pad here, and each sector we have the various information that is written on here. Planet X, empty, gas cloud, dwarf planet, asteroid, or some of them, there may be a comet in addition to all of that. Now, as you can see, all the information over here, and by all the information, I probably ought to put that so you can see it, this is how many there are of these various things, and there is one thing per sector. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Planet X is 10, and then there are truly 2 empty sectors. So there's going to be one thing in each of these sectors. All right. So what do we know here to begin with? Well, let's take a look at this. Sector 3, not a dwarf planet. All right, so we take a look at Sector 3, not a dwarf planet. So we know this for fact. So we're just going to go ahead and X out the dwarf planet. We know it's not a dwarf planet. Cool. Okay, what else? Sector 5, not a gas cloud. Okay, so 5, not a gas cloud. Okay, done. Sector 7, not an asteroid. So we mark off the asteroid. So all of my deep scribbles like this are going to signify that this is a starting info thing. So Sector 11, not a dwarf planet. All right, so that is our starting information right there. Okay, cool. All that makes sense, I hope. All right, so now we have that starting information down, so we hit Start Game. So now it says, following research items and conferences are available for this game specifically. We encourage players to record the titles on their note sheets. So this is what we're going to do. Now, take my word for it. I'm going to write all this down. Give me a moment. I don't need to switch in between all the cameras, but let's go ahead. So comets and asteroids. And then we have gas clouds. Then dwarf planets and comets. Asteroids and dwarf planets. E is gas clouds and dwarf planets. F is asteroids and gas clouds. And finally, the conference X1 is Planet X and comets. All right, so you'll notice that all of those letters are written right here already on the score pad or on the, our notepad, whatever. And then all I did is I went ahead and got all of the research things down here written down. Okay, so there we go. Now we're ready for that. So we've got all that written down. We hit continue. All right, now the game is set up and ready to rock and roll. But now, what the hell is it we are trying to do in this game? Well, I'm glad you asked that. So, as I mentioned, the game takes place over an indeterminate, actually I hadn't noted or mentioned that, but I digress. The game takes place over an indeterminate number of rounds, and within those rounds, we are going to take one action, all right, as shown right here, that will have 3 steps. Now, whoever is furthest back, we start with the first action. So whoever is furthest back in this area out here will take the first action, or will take their action. So I'm going to take an action. It's going to take some amount of time. So I'm going to advance my marker, whatever. I'm going to take my action there. And then when I am done, Then, we'll take an action, we advance our player pawn, then we need to advance the earth board. The earth board is this top board that pivots all around here. We will rotate this until the bot, or us, whichever is furthest behind, it comes to the sector where that is. Well, obviously we both were in sector 1, so the earth board won't move. But then the bot will take their turn, they'll advance some number of things. If they advance to the same space that you're in, or vice versa, they always go ahead so that the player that was already there will get their turn first. So they'll do their thing, then we will advance this one sector at a time, there, and then anytime you see a symbol down here, we will do something special when that comes up. I will talk about that as we actually play the game. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing on our turn and on the game's turn, okay? All right, but now let's go ahead and look at some hard and fast rules that come into play in the standard game for this, okay? So, comets. So, the logic rule is comets can only be located in particular sectors. So if we look up here on the main board, it doesn't help us. But if we look over here on our actual gamepad, you'll see that there are comets only available in certain sectors. So we have one here, so 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11 are the only places where comets can be. So we know that rule to be the case for this game and for every standard game. And in fact, for every expert, period. In the game of the search for Planet X, this will always be the case. Also, asteroids have this logic rule. Each asteroid is always adjacent to at least one other asteroid, and they will either be in pairs, so 2, or a group of 4. Okay, so if we find an asteroid, we know there will be an asteroid in a sector adjacent to it, and there may be more, kind of like how that is. That is always going to be the case, whether it's the standard or the expert game. Now, it might be a little hard to see, but there are little cutouts in the player aid here, because here in the standard game, these rules apply. In the expert game, there will be something that covers this part up, but then in both games, this will be true. So let's continue on. All right, so here we go. 12 sectors total. 10 contain exactly one object. 2 are truly empty. What does that mean? Well, truly empty and empty. Well, truly empty means literally there's nothing there. Empty means Planet X could be there. Okay, because there's 10 sectors, one of which will be empty, but will show up as Planet, but will say empty, but is actually Planet X, and then 2 are truly empty. Dwarf planet, of which there is exactly one in the regular game, standard game. Dwarf planet is not adjacent to Planet X. Okay, so we know that. Cool, okay. Then, truly empty sectors. Here we go. Planet X appears empty in surveys and targets, which is going to be the actions that we can take, but more on that in a little bit. Gas clouds is adjacent to at least one truly empty sector, meaning at least one of the sectors will be truly empty. The other could have Planet X or anything else for that matter. And then Planet X is not adjacent to a dwarf planet and it appears empty. Okay, excellent. All right, now I did say I'm only going to teach the solo game in the basic mode, but in the expert mode, that will come into play, and there are three additional dwarf planets for a total of 4. Okay, and then this card will come and cover up that, but there you go, more on that if and when you guys deem we should play another game on the expert level. All right, so cool. So now let's go ahead and go back to the turn summary real quick. Let's look at this. So now on our turn, we're going to be able to take one of 4 actions, as you can see here. First one is survey. So survey means of the sectors that are visible, pick a starting sector and an ending sector, and then depending on how many sectors that covers, it will cost either 4, 3, or in the expert game, 2 time, depending on how many sectors. Well, all of the sectors must be visible. So as it is at the beginning of the game, there are sectors 1 through 6 available. So I could say, hey, I want a survey for something in sectors, say, 2 through 5. Well, 2 through 5 is 4 sectors, so that's going to cost me 3 time. So I'll enter that information into the app, and then it's going to spit out some kind of true statement. Okay, cool. And then we will use that statement after writing it down on the pad so that we maybe survey something, how many of them, and then we'll use our deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning to figure out where things are over here on the board. Okay? Cool. All right. Targeting is just like survey, but it's a specific sector. And you can only do that twice in a game, period. Research is, remember all of these research and conference note things that we wrote down? We can research and it will tell us some rule or something that applies for each of these things, but you're not allowed, it only takes 1 time, meaning we will only advance 1 sector, but you can't do this on back-to-back turns. We're going to be doing this early and often, okay? And then finally, when we think we know where planet X is, we can go ahead and try and locate planet X. Now, note that that costs 5 time, okay? But when we do so, let's go ahead and show, because you not only need to know which sector planet X is in, but in addition to that, it's going to ask you for what is adjacent to each side of that sector. And if you get all of the information right, great, you're going to score well. If not, you failed and you cost yourself 5 time and you were wrong. Okay? So, here we go. The first to locate planet X advances 5 time and scores 10 points and triggers the game end. Each player behind that player, meaning the bot or me if the bot figured it out, based on how far back they are, is going to locate either planet X or submit some theories. Okay, we're going to talk about submitting theories here in a little bit, but let's go ahead and look at how endgame scoring works, okay? So endgame scoring in the solo mode is the exact same as when it's in the multiplayer game, regardless of the number of players. Right, okay. All right. So first off, right here, it says, score 1 point for every sector where you were the first player to submit a correct theory. We'll talk about theories here in a minute. For every asteroid that you correctly located on the board, you're going to score 2 points. Same with every comet, gas cloud, dwarf planet. And then, finally, 10 points if you were the first player to locate planet X. But if you were the second in the solo game, count how many sectors back your pawn is from the first player to do so, and score that many points depending on where they are. Score up your total points. Whoever scores the most points wins. All right. So the last thing we need to talk about really are theories. Whenever we hit this symbol here, meaning our markers have already advanced, we hit this. What's going to happen is we're going to be able to place a theory. In the standard game, you can place 1 theory. A maximum of 1 theory would be 0 or 1. In the expert game, you can place up to 2. What that means is you would, again, we're talking about the solo game. You're going to choose one of these to say, hey, I believe that this thing, this object, is in that sector. So I place this here. I say, I think there's an asteroid in sector 4. Boom, done. Then the bot will do that per the app. Then after you do so, you're going to advance all the ones, including the ones you just placed onto the or on the board. You're going to advance everything 1 space. When something gets down into what is called the peer review spot, which is the 4th spot of that, then we're going to do a peer review. And basically, we're going to either confirm that we were right or the bot was right, and flip over, face up, any of the others that are out there. Now, I should note, in the solo game, the bot will only place theories that it guarantees are true. So, we need to know that when it places a theory out here on the board, we know that it knows that that is going to be a true statement. Okay, cool. So, we'll talk about peer review when we actually get there, and we'll be able to confirm that when we go. But that is going to be how we're going to place theories out there. So I think that's a good enough spot to actually go ahead and go and get started with the game, honestly. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and do so. And before we do so, let's go and bring up the cameras, or camera in the chat. There we go. We'll go ahead and bring it up here. Oh, I lied. We're not bringing it up there. We are doing so here, though. So we have that and that. Hey, y'all. Hey. So my question for y'all is place your bets, me or the bot. And by me, collectively, you're also voting for yourself. Keep that in mind. And over-under on Glory to Rome's, I'm going to set the over-under at 1.5. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot. There's probably going to be 1 if the bot discovers Planet X before we do. But it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get started. All right? All right. So even if you guys have played this before, it's logical thinking. So you may or may not actually have played this specific game, which is C8F4. I assume you guys have not. So therefore, it's going to be a new game for all of us. So yes, I guess I'm ruining that iteration specifically, but that's all. All right? So for our first action, I think we go ahead and research. Now, why are we going to research? Well, it's going to give us another logic rule, okay, that we have in play. So we know that Planet X and comets are going to give us some information. So comets and asteroids, not a bad start. We do not have to do it as A. We could do comets and dwarf planets. We could do any of these others. So dwarf planet, comet, gas cloud, asteroid, dwarf planet, etc., etc. So I'm going to make the first command decision, and we are going to research comets and asteroids. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the app now. So of the 4 available actions that we have, well, we're going to research. Okay, cool. So we're going to research, so we hit research, and I decided we're going to research comets and asteroids. Oh, and you know what? I totally forgot something else. Important things. In a moment, we'll get there. All right, so comets and asteroids, okay? Now, first things first, reveal information. Okay, at least one comet is adjacent to an asteroid. Adjacent, that means directly adjacent. I don't need, but in case you were wondering, there's that, if you need that, okay? But comets and asteroids, at least one comet is adjacent to an asteroid. Okay, one comet, minimum one comet is adjacent to asteroid. All right, cool. So we know that rule is in effect now. Okay, that helped. So now, when we research, that cost us 1 time. We advance. Need to reset that. Okay. So we've taken our action. So a moment here. So I will actually come back. So we've done that. We hit continue. Reminder, you must choose a different action on your night because you can't do research back to back, right? Okay, cool. We hit continue. Boom, done. All right. So now that we have done that, now let's take a look again at the turn summary. So the turn summary says, take your action, done. Advance your player pawn, done. Rotate the earth board. Well, we can't because there's already, the bot is still here, so we're good to go. So now that I have missed my phone call, whatever it was, so then, there we go, a little space music. Let me know if it's too loud for you guys. We'll go and get that going. All right, cool. All right, so now that we are done with that, now the bot has to take its turn. Take its turn. Now, you'll also notice, ooh, hold on, one more thing. There we go. So the bot, i.e. Nemesis, we're going to track their actions. Oh, we also need to write down, what we did. So we researched A, and the result obviously is going to be whatever we wrote down for A. This is just a little way of our tracking that. Okay, cool. All right. So now we come back to the game menu here. So we take a look, bot take turn. Okay, cool. It confirms where it is. It's on sector 1, is it? Yep. we're good. Okay, cool. Make sure we didn't miss anything. If we did miss something, however, this is nice. The little history. It shows every action that's been taken, and you can go back and track what it is that you did. So cool. Close history. Okay, so they are in Sector 1. We're good. So what is the bot going to do? It surveys for comments in Sector 3 to 3. Okay, and then advance the bot spawn 4 to Sector 5. Okay, so the bot surveyed for comments. So, survey for comment 3 to 3. There we go. Now, we don't know what they found out. We don't get that information. But okay, cool. So now we need to move their pawn 4 spaces, because surveying that amount of spaces, or 1, 2, or 3 sectors, is 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're there. Okay, excellent. We come back. We've done all that. Done. Now, their turn is not done, because the last thing they have to do is rotate the Earth board. Done. So now the visible sky is 2 to 7. Okay? All right. So now we cannot research. We cannot research. I don't think we have enough information to target anything, so I think we ought to survey. So let's take a look at what we do know. Okay, well, we know that at least one comet will be adjacent to an asteroid. Okay, well, we have Sector 2 to 7 that's visible right now. I mean, we could survey. You know what, one thing we could do is we could survey 2 to 7 for comets. Because if we do that, we notice that there is 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5 possible spaces. So if both are in here, we know that 11 does not have a comet, and we already know that it doesn't have a dwarf planet. If it says there's only one, then we confirm, we know what's in Sector 11 already. We know that that's a comet. Or we could survey, say, 2 to 5 for a comet, and same thing applies. If there's 0, then we know that's a comet, we know that's a comet, right? So we could do it all like this. So I don't know. I think we stick to comets for right now. I think it's interesting that he surveyed specifically this spot for comets, which leads me to believe that he knows something about Sector 3. So what do y'all think? I like either the 2 to 5 or 2 to 7. And the 2 to 5 and 2 to 7 is all going to be 3 time, no matter what. Because it's going to be at least 4 sectors, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So I'm open to ideas. I'm going to have some, I'm going to enjoy a little bit of some Portland breakfast from Smith Teas today. It's my last one. I made an order at Smith Teas. I also made an order at, there's a local place. So a bunch of different types of teas. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, that's good. That's really good. So what do y'all think? I mean, this is supposed to be interactive, and it is the herd collectively here, right? So I like the 2 to 7 myself. And let's just go ahead and try and pinpoint a comet to begin with. So we're going to survey comets. And now the question is, how many? Unless I hear otherwise, I'm going with Jonathan and myself and going to go 2 to 7. Okay? So that's what we're doing. That's going to cost us 3 time, okay? So because we know it's going to cost us 3 time, let's go ahead, 1, 2, 3, and because we were the second one there, we go in front, okay? All right? All right. So let's go ahead and bust that out. So we survey, and reminder, you can only obviously do what's invisible, or what is visible, I think is a better way to frame that. So I think that reminder is fine. I don't mind having that every time. So we continue. So now what are we going to survey for? We're surveying for comets. Okay, and now we're going to start in sector 2. And we're going to go to sector 11. Also, when you survey for comets, you must start where a comet is possible and end where a comet is possible. So there we go. So when we select these, you'll notice those are the only 5 where you can start and end. So that makes sense. Okay, all right. And if you misclick something or whatever, you can just click it again and reselect it. There we go. So here we go. Drum roll. By the way, how's the level of music, y'all? All right. So here we go. There are 2 comets in sector 2 to 7. Okay. So what do we know? So we know that there are 2 of them in 2 to 7. So we confirm that, there is not one in 11. Okay. And we also know that a minimum of 1 comet is adjacent to an asteroid. Now, that does not mean that these are not asteroids. We just know that if there's a comet here, I mean, that's an asteroid. You know what? No, I don't want to go off that far. So that's what we know so far. There we go. Okay. So if there's anything else that we can deduce from the information that we've been given, I think that's all we can do right now. I think that's it. Okay. So now you'll notice that we are all the way to here, both of us. So now we're going to advance, stop, because we're going to hit a theory. So now we place theories first. You know what? Hold on. Yes, in the theory phase for the solo game, you select and place your theory or theories first. Well, in the standard game, we can place 1 theory. Now, we have not talked about what happens if a good theory or a bad theory. If we confirm when it comes down to a peer review, if we place a theory and it's correct, great, that's going to score us some number of points as shown for the end game, right? Okay, cool. If we're wrong, we advance 1 time sector and we remove it from the board and permanently out of the game. Once we place it on the board, it is permanent. It's either going to permanently stay there if it's correct, or it's going to be removed from the game. And we only have that amount. So my question now is, I don't think we have enough information, honestly, to be able to place a theory right now. Because anything we do is going to be a wag. Where I'm from, a wag is a wild ass guess. All right? So, all right. So Gusarino says there's no asteroids in 11 or 12. How do we know that there is no asteroid in 11 or 12? How can we do 10 or 12? He corrects himself. No, asteroids, no. Okay, he realizes he's wrong about that. So disregard that. So this is the only thing that we know is that can't be the case. So at this point, it's a wild ass guess. And honestly, I don't think we should place a theory at this point, okay? Okay, so therefore, I'm going to make the command decision that we are not going to, oh, you know what? I said I would mark these when we know for sure. So we know that is for sure. Okay, cool. All right, so we are not going to place a theory, all right? Oh, hey, Jess is here. Hey, Jess. All right. No, don't pipe down. Just, it was a mistake. It happens. Okay, cool. So there we go. We continue. So we have chosen to not place a theory. So now we check and see if the bot is going to place a theory. The bot's pawn should currently be located in Sector 5. It is. We're good to go. Okay. So now what is it doing? It does not submit a theory. Okay, done. So we stopped here to submit a theory. We continue moving. Nothing. And stop because players' pawns are there. Okay? There we go. So now it's the bot's player's turn because they are behind us. Okay? So the bot player now says, all right, bot, take a turn. Cool. It is in 5. Good to go. We confirmed that. Reveal. What are they doing? They're going to target Sector 7. I'm writing this down. So they're targeting Sector 7. The end. And then that's going to cost them 4 time, and they advance to Sector 9. So they targeted Sector 7, and they need to advance to 9, 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 time. Done. So they targeted something here, meaning they probably know something that we don't. Now, I don't want to infer that they have targeted 3 and 7, which also corresponds to our comets. We don't know that, but I'm just saying that they both have comets. Okay, that's possible. All right, so now it's our turn. We don't advance it because we are there. So what the hell do we do now? I feel like trying to narrow down the comets, I think is probably a good idea. Now, what we could do is we could research. So, dwarf planets and comets, we would get some information there. That's the only other comet research that we could do. Now, if we research, we would get back-to-back turns because it only costs us 1 time. It's really not a terrible idea, but then we would lose access to Sector 5 because the night sky is only going to be visible from 6, and honestly, we could do like 7 to 11, but we already know the information on comets. I'm just looking at our second turn if we choose to do so. But I think going ahead and researching with comets makes sense. So I think that's what we go ahead and do. So it's going to cost us 1 time. So let's go ahead and advance that 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. So we are going to research. And this is going to be dwarf planets and comets, which is C. What do we know? The dwarf planet is adjacent to a comet. Okay, so there are 2 comets. Okay, so the dwarf planet is going to be adjacent to them. Okay, so let me write that down. So, okay, so I have written that down. Now, what do we know? We know that all of the comets are going to be from 2 to 7. We don't know which ones of those 4, 1, 2, 3, or 4, but we know they're both going to be there. And that means the dwarf planet must be adjacent. So that means it could be as far as 1 to 8. So we know that the dwarf planet now, we know the dwarf planet is not in 9, it's not in 10, we already knew it's not in 11, and it can't be in 12. Okay, so we know that now. Okay, cool. And remember also, planet X can never be adjacent to, dwarf planet can never be adjacent to planet X. Okay, so there we go, okay. Let me be specific on what targeting does, okay? Targeting. When you take that action, you spend 1 of your 2 target tokens. Once you've spent both, you can't do it again. The app will reveal which object is located in that sector, or that sector appears empty, which means it can still have planet X. Okay, so we can confirm what is in that sector, and we can do so twice. And remember here, so that is done. So we will continue that. So then, a moment. Yeah, that's fine. So we advanced 1, we need to advance that, and then we stop, okay? So targeting costs 4 time, surveying costs 4 time, or 3 times, depending on. And researching is obviously only 1, and you cannot research back to back. And locating planet X is 5. Okay? All right. All right. Oh, did I forget something? Let's see. Let's see. Heidi brings up a very good point here, okay? So Heidi says, I don't know if the bot's smart enough. The bot seems pretty smart, I will say that, but they surveyed for comets in Sector 3. If there was a comet in 3, you'd expect them to submit a theory. It suggests that 3 is unlikely to be a comet. Okay, I'll buy that. That makes sense. So we're not positive of that, but likely that 3 is not. Likely, not confirmed, right? So we'll just mark it in orange for that. Okay, I think that's a fair... Yeah, if you know what object for sure is in a sector, cross out all the other objects. Oh, I will, Russell, don't worry. Okay. So that's what we know. I think that's all that we know. So it's our turn. What do we do? So now the visible sky is 6 to 11. Now, when we're done with this, we're going to be able to submit a theory. Okay? So I could make a case that we could survey for comets in 7 to 11, even though we know that 11 is not a comet. We could, because that would allow us to know whether 7 does or doesn't. If it does not, then we know it's likely that 2 and 5 have it, which then further reduces the things of where the dwarf planet can be. All right. Hey, Chad. So, yeah. I like that because it at least locks down pretty close comets for us, you know? You know what? I'm going to bring the chat up on this window as well. I wasn't going to, but there we go. Not very spacey, is it? Yeah, it's all right. It's on the playlist. Let's let it go. Okay. All right. So what do we do? Oh, hold on. We researched C, didn't we? Okay. I kind of like that for the comets, which is going to also help us with the dwarf planet. I like that idea. I really do. Yeah, I think we survey 7 to 11. Well, this is going to be 1 or 0. We know that, right? Steven says the dwarf can't be in 7. Why can't the dwarf be in 7? Because it must be adjacent to a comet. Aha! You are correct. So we know that. Right, because it's either a comet or either way, it's not going to be adjacent to one, so that makes sense. Yep, I'll buy that. Well, hold on. Instead of surveying, what if we target 7? And I'll buy that. Yeah, it can't be in 5 either. That's true. Good call there. I think maybe we target a comet in 7? But we only have 2 of them. Yes, it's less time to target. That's to survey. I mean, it's 4 to target. So yeah, let's go ahead and survey 7 to 11. I'm good with that. Let's do that. So we are going to survey for comets 7 to 11. Okay. There we go. You can't, but yeah, so here's the thing. If we, let me point something out real quick. Hold on, to make it clear to everybody also, okay? So hold on. So let me show you guys this. If you survey 1, 2, or 3 sectors, it's 4 time. Targeting is 4 time. Whereas if you survey 4 to 6, it's only 3 time. So that's why I'm surveying versus targeting. Okay, does that make sense? I hope. Okay. Cool, cool. All right, here we go. So we're gonna survey, it costs 3 time. There is 1 comet in 7 to 11. So we know for a fact that 7 is a comet. Okay, so we're going to advance 3 time first, so I don't forget. 1, 2, 3, and we go in front of them. So then we come over here. We know that 7 is a comet. So that means all of that is out. Awesome. Okay, so now we can go ahead and submit a theory. We know for a fact that 7 is a comet. So let's go ahead and lock that down. I like that idea. Okay. All right, so now the bot needs to submit theories, or a theory possibly. So the bot is going to submit a theory. Confirm that the bot is currently in 9. It is. All right, excellent. So let's take a look. What are they going to do? The bot does not submit a theory again. Okay. Interesting. Really interesting. Okay, so now that we have submitted a theory and there are theories on the board, now we advance all theories, 1 space, done. That goes, and that goes up into where the last place player is. Okay? Noted on that, Heidi. All right. Cool. All right, so it's the bot's turn. So the bot's going to take a turn. So take turn. Confirmed it's in 9. They take their 3rd action. They survey for asteroids 9 to 2, which is the entire sky. And then they're going to advance 3. Right. Okay. So 9 to 2. So I'm going to write this down. So they surveyed for asteroids 9 to 2. Now, we don't know the outcome of any of that. Okay, cool. So, and then they advance 1, 2, and 3 there, and 9 to 2. So that's the visible night sky. This does not advance because we are there, and good. Yeah, I feel pretty good that the comet is not going to be in 3. I don't think the game is tricky in that regard. It doesn't make sense for it because it's losing out on points. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, I should have written that there is 1 on that. All right, so it's our turn. Now I think we should research something because, yeah. So we know that there is probably a comet, or there is definitely a comet 2 or 5, 225, because we haven't definitively ruled out 3, but it's likely. So we got a 50-50 shot on that, okay? So what else do we know? We know that the dwarf planet could be in 8 or 6. It could also be in 4, and it could also be in 3 or 1. We also know, hold on. We know that the dwarf planet cannot be in 2. Okay, technically unlikely. Because unless there's a comet here, which we pretty much know that there's not a comet there, it's probably not a dwarf planet there. And adjacent to a comet is probably an asteroid, or is going to be at least one asteroid adjacent to a comet. Okay, so I like the idea of researching dwarf planet stuff here. So what do we have? So dwarf planet and gas cloud or asteroids. I kind of like D in this regard, asteroids and dwarf planets. I kind of dig that. Since there's 4 asteroids, only 2 gas planets, or I'm sorry, gas clouds, not gas planets, sorry. Yeah, I think we can do, I could make a case for either D or E. So here, how about we do this? We're going to research. It's either going to be D or E. So write in what you vote for, D or E. First thing to get 3 answers, we will research. So we will research D or E. So let me know what you're choosing. Asteroids and dwarf planet or gas clouds and dwarf planets. It's going to cost us 1 time. And we're going to be able to place a theory after we do so if we wish to do so. Okay? So you guys tell me what it is you guys would prefer I do. Yeah, sure, we can do that. So let's go over the base rules for everything. So comets can only be located in the sectors where it's possible. Okay. Asteroids are always adjacent to at least one other, so they'll either be in pairs or group of 4. Dwarf planet is not adjacent to planet X. Gas clouds will always be adjacent to one truly empty sector, meaning won't have planet X next to it. All right, looks like D it is. Okay. All right, so we are going to choose D. And D is asteroids and dwarf planet. Okay, so research. Asteroids and dwarf planets, D. Here we go. No asteroid is adjacent to the dwarf planet. No asteroid is adjacent to the dwarf planet. Okay. So we know the dwarf planet is adjacent to at least one comet, which means could be 8 or 6. We need to figure out where the hell this dwarf planet is. Could be in 1 or 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 as far as no asteroid. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, so we advanced it. Now, before we take our turn, we can submit a theory if we wish. I know a whole lot of what we don't, or we confirm isn't there, but we don't know what is right now. So, do we wish to submit a theory? I don't know that we have enough info right now. Okay, so let's try this. We know that 2 or 5, 99% sure, that 2 or 5 is a comet. If that's the case, a comet adjacent to an asteroid, and the dwarf planet is adjacent to the comet, but no asteroid is adjacent to the dwarf planet. Grrr. It wouldn't be a wild ass guess, but it would be definitely a guess, because if this is a comet, then that means the dwarf planet is either here, here, or here. I feel like that's just a guess. Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree, no theory on this. So let's see if the game does. So the game then says, bot, submit a theory. Are they on 12? They are on 12. Good to go. The bot still does not submit a theory. By the way, my previous game of this, they didn't submit a theory on the first one, submitted like 2 or 3 theories, and then figured out where Planet X was. So we are already off to a better start, I would say. Okay, so they did not submit a theory. Done. It's now our turn. So 10 to 3 is where we are, is what's visible, okay? So let's see, 10 to 3. I mean, I feel like we could lock down the comet for sure by doing 2 and 3 for where the comet is. Or we could go 11 to 3, which would actually cost us less time. Because if we lock down where the comet is, that's going to give us a ton more information, right? I think so. And that also we're going to get, well, here's the thing though, right? Because we're going to have the conference, we're going to get some information regarding Planet X and the comet. Yeah, I think now is the time in which we do that. I think so. Oh, thank you. We advanced the theory there. Thank you. I forgot to do that because of this. So yeah, I think we go comet 11 to 3 because we know there's not one in 11. We feel almost positive that 3 is not one. So it's either going to be 2 or 5. So yeah, I think we do that. So we are going to survey 11 to 3 for comet. I think so. Let's do it. Okay, so we are going to survey for comets. (11 to 3). Here we go. There are no comets. 11 to 3. Wow. There we go. All right. Advance us 3 first. 1, 2, 3. Done. We'll move this and everything in a moment. All right. There's no comet in 11 to 3. So we know there's not one here. We know there's not one there. We know it's there, which means the rest of this isn't. There we go. Okay, awesome, great. So now what do we know? There is a minimum of one comet adjacent to an asteroid. The dwarf planet is adjacent to a minimum of one comet. So we know the dwarf planet is either here, here, or here. So we know there's no dwarf planet there. And there we go. So let's see now. The dwarf planet is adjacent to a minimum of one comet, and there's no asteroid adjacent to the dwarf planet. So if the dwarf planet was here, that'd be a true statement. If the dwarf planet were here, that means there can't be an asteroid here. If the dwarf planet were here, that means there can't be an asteroid there, and there's not there. So I don't know that we know that. Yeah, so no dwarf planet in any of these, all the way around there. Okay, excellent. What else can we infer from this? Okay, so now we're going to have the conference. Okay? And to be clear, when everything is crossed out like this, that in whatever circled, that means we know what it is. So we know both of those are comets. Okay? Okay? All right? All right, so now we're going to have the conference. Okay? So we take a look at this. We're going to do X1. We know this. So here we go. So we hit continue. All right, Planet X conference. Okay, here we go. So we're going to learn something about Planet X and comets. Planet X is not directly opposite a comet. And if you need to know what that is, I think it's pretty clear, but there you go. Okay, so we know that. So now let's take a look. Planet X is not directly across a comet. So we know that it's not there, and we know that it's not there. Okay. All right. And we know that Planet X cannot be adjacent to a dwarf planet. So we know that Planet X can't be here or here. If it were here, it couldn't be there or there. If it still could be here. Yeah. No asteroid in 6, that is true, because they have to be in groups of 2 or 4. Okay, I'll buy that, yeah, okay. Okay, so I think that's what we know right now. If there's something else I'm forgetting, please chime in. So we just did the conference and then nothing. And now there will be another theory after their turn here. So it's the bot's turn now. Bot is in 12, just to confirm. Bot takes a turn. They're in 12, good deal. They survey for asteroids in 2 to 3 specifics. So give me a moment on that. Survey for asteroids. 2 to 3. That advances them 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, and we know at a minimum 4 or 8 is an asteroid. That is a fact, Jack. And we know that because a minimum of 1 comet adjacent to an asteroid. So we know that 4 or 8 is an asteroid, and we've already ruled out 6. And then if we know that 4 or 8 is an asteroid, that whichever one we confirm is, then we know that 3 and 9 respectively are, right? So there we go. Hey, Luke. Okay. So here's where we are now. We need to submit a theory if we wish before we take our turn. So, I mean, we know where the comet is, so let's go ahead and submit the comet in 5, because points. That's going to be worth 3 points for us, so that's good. Okay. So now the game, does it wish to submit a theory? Are they in 4? They are, in fact, in 4. They are submitting the theory in 7. So they know what it is as well. Okay. So here's how this works. Okay. We take one of their color. It does not matter what it is. It's just a random one, and we're going to put it up here. And then we advance everything in sector order. So we start at 1, come here, and then we go there. Now, the game will only submit when it knows for a fact what something is. But you'll notice that there is now something in the peer review. So in lowest to highest sector order, so we start in 1, and any peer reviews, we do them in order. So we start, and obviously the only one that is there is 7. So we go peer review, okay, sector 7. What do we think it is? A comet, we know it is, but regardless. So we go there, we hit comet, view results. Hey, it has a comet. All right, congrats. So now what's going to happen is that stays on the board. That's going to score us 3 points at the end of the game. And the game only does so when it knows for a fact. So we're going to take one of the face-up ones in their other player color here and put it there. We were the firsts, so that's good news for us. So that will get us some points ahead of the game. So Sector 7 is now booked, done, whatever. Okay? I did advance my theory last time, I'm pretty sure. I think I did. So there we go. So that is here. And now it's our turn. And now we have 1 through 6 is visible in the night sky. Okay? So now 1 through 6. You know what we could do? We could target 6 as a dwarf planet. We could target 4 or 8. No, we can't target 8. Yeah, we can target 8. I'm sorry. We could target one of these as the dwarf planet. Or we could scan the sky for asteroids. Now we know that there are no asteroids 5 to 7. Man, I really want to find out where the hell that dwarf planet is. Or we could research F. So here, because I have the memory of a gnat or a goldfish, we look at the history. We surveyed comet as our last action, so we're good to go. We can do a research. Okay. So the question is, do we research asteroid? No, I'm sorry. The gas cloud and the dwarf planet. That would give us 1 time, and I think I like that better. I think so. We could target 8 as an asteroid, but that feels like just a wag, doesn't it? All right, Gusarino says if we survey 2 to 4, which we could do that next turn, just to be clear, 2 to 4 for the asteroids, that would, you know what, I think we ought to research to start. So let's worry about that, and then we'll see what we do here. Now, if we did gas cloud and dwarf planet, or we could do asteroid and gas cloud. Asteroid, because if we're trying to figure out asteroids, that might actually help us. So my question is, do we do E or F? So you tell me, gas cloud and dwarf planet or asteroid and gas cloud? First one to get 3, that's what we'll choose. So we're going to research. You guys choose. Let me know. I think we research first. F it is. That's kind of what I was thinking. Let's go ahead and take care of all the asteroid stuff, right? All right, so let's do it. So we will research. We said F, asteroids and gas clouds. What do we got? No asteroid is directly opposite a gas cloud. Okay, let me write that down. Okay, that is written down. Done. So that's going to cost us 1 time. There, and nothing happens. Okay, so now, let's dig into Goosarino's logic here, and let's verify, and if so, then okay. So if we survey 2 to 4 for asteroids, 2, 3, or 4. He says if it's 0, 2, or 3, it tells you where all the asteroids are. Because, show your work, Goosarino, because you've already gotten there, so instead of me trying to figure that out and guess it, let's see. So there are 4 asteroids in total. All 3 could be. There is a minimum 1 comet adjacent to an asteroid. No asteroid is adjacent to the dwarf planet. No asteroid directly across from a gas cloud. That doesn't help us yet. But there's no asteroid. I'm sorry, planet X is not directly across from a comet. Asteroids must be in groups of 2 or 4. I like that actually, because they have to be in groups of 2 or 4. If we know that 3, if it says 1, that's going to be really interesting. Take care, Renee. So the question is, do we do that? Do we do that with the asteroid, or do we target something, a specific zone? And to be clear, we can only target visible night sky stuff, okay? Okay, so we know the dwarf planet must be adjacent to the comet. So it's either 4, 6, or 8. If we were to survey for the dwarf planet, 4 to 6, well, actually, we would probably want to go less or more spaces, even though we know that's the case. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Christopher, I agree. That's what I'm working out right now. So we could survey for asteroids. Visible is 2 to 7. Okay. So I'm of the mind that we could target or survey actually like 2 to 6 for the dwarf planet. That means the dwarf planet would either be 4, 6, or confirmed in 8. What gives us more information? Because whatever we choose, we're going to have to make a theory or a theory after this. Yeah, I think asteroid like 2 to 7 works. Oh, shoot. I forgot to write this. Hold on. F. That was F. Okay. So survey asteroid 2 to 7. All right. I'm good with that. Okay. Let's do it. So survey asteroid 2 to 7. There's one asteroid, 2 to 7. So let's advance 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to advance that just, and then we'll submit our theory, but okay. So there is one asteroid, 2 to 7. Okay. They must be in groups of 2. Which means 4 can't be an asteroid. 3 can't be an asteroid, so it's got to be 2. So 1 and 2 have got to be an asteroid. So let's see. If 2 to 7, we know that it's not here, we know it's not there, we know it's not there. So it can only be one asteroid in 2 to 7, so we know it can't be in 4, because it would have to then also be in 3. It can't be in 3, because it would then have to be in either 2 or 4, so it can't be there. So it has to be 2. So if 2 is an asteroid, that means 1 must be an asteroid, which means the rest of this there. Okay. So if that's the case, so now I hear Justin says it has to be 8 and 9 for an asteroid. Now my question is, why can't it be 10 or 11? I haven't gotten there yet. Let me get there. Let's see. Because a comet must be adjacent to an asteroid, so therefore we know it can't be there, so it's got to be here since it's not there, so we know that that's the case. And it's got to be there, which means not there. Which then means this can't be an asteroid, and which means can't be an asteroid. Awesome. So we know those. Okay. So what else can we figure out now? So we got all 4 asteroids accounted for. So I'm just going to put these out, even though they're not out here. I'm just going to put them out as a visual thing. 8 and 9, and then we have 1 and 2. We know that's the case. No asteroid is adjacent to the dwarf planet. So a dwarf planet still could be 4 or 6. No asteroid directly across from a gas cloud. So that means this can't be a gas cloud, which means it's either empty or planet X. That can't be a gas cloud, right? Okay. So we know that 3 is going to be empty or planet X. This still could be Planet X because it's not directly across from a comet. We know that this isn't an asteroid. So it's going to be either a gas cloud or empty. Six can't be a gas cloud because gas clouds must be adjacent to at least one truly empty sector. That's a good point. So that is not going to be a gas cloud. Okay. That's a fair statement. Have a good one, Jonathan. Thanks for hanging out. So let's see, there are two gas clouds. Still could be anywhere over here, because let's see. No asteroid directly across from a gas cloud, so there's no asteroids there, so that could be those. So here, we'll do this. Asteroid, asteroid, comet, comet, asteroid, asteroid. Okay, that helps. All right, well, we can submit a theory that we know is true, but God, I really want the expensive one. I want the dwarf planet or gas cloud one. You know what? While I'm thinking about this also, let me show you guys this again. There you go. There. Okay. So we got our comets locked down. We got our asteroids locked down. Dwarf planet's not going to be adjacent to Planet X, and gas clouds are adjacent to one truly empty sector. And Planet X is not adjacent to a dwarf planet. Okay. So that's where we're at right now. Okay. All right, let's see what Mikhail says. It says, since gas clouds must be adjacent to a truly empty sector. So what could be truly empty? So that means that could be empty, which means this could be a gas cloud. This could be empty, which means gas cloud or gas cloud. Yeah, 3, 4, yeah, the gas clouds are going to be in some mix. Why can't 3 be a gas cloud again? Hold on. Why can't 3 be a gas cloud? It is across from an asteroid. No asteroid directly across from a gas cloud, so it can't be in 3. So a gas cloud, could it be in 4? A gas cloud could be in 4 because this could be truly empty. So that checks out. So that still could be, so no gas cloud, so a gas cloud is going to be in 4, 10, 11, or 12. 2 of those. The dwarf planet must be adjacent to a comet, so it still could be 4 or 6. can we eliminate either of those for the dwarf planet? You know, if we research E, I think we'll be able to figure that out. I don't think we can put a theory down for anything other than an asteroid right now. So let's go ahead and bust out an asteroid. I don't think it really matters. So let's go ahead and put an asteroid down on 2 there. And now the game is going to place a theory. So the bot should be in 4. It is. Good. They submit a theory in Sector 1, which we know is an asteroid already as well. Okay. So they're going to submit 1 and 1. So advance, 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 and that's done. Done. Okay. All right. Bot's turn. They are in 4. Good to go. They researched F. Okay. And they get 1 time. So they will go there. This will advance. Okay. So now, honestly, I think we target 6. We could research. We could research. We could research. I think we target 6. Target 6 is the dwarf planet. I think so. So we're going to discard one of our targets. Here we go. So target, it's going to cost us 4 time. It is visible, so we're good to go. Sector 6. Ow! So the dwarf planet is not going to be in 6. It appears empty. All right, so hold on. We need to move 4 time. So let me do that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 6 appears empty. So we know it's going to be this, which means it's not that, which means the dwarf planet must be here. So what do we know now? The dwarf planet is adjacent to a comet. Checks out. Good. So that's going to be dwarf planet. So the gas clouds are going to be over here. I'm not going to lie. I like researching here soon because gas clouds and dwarf planet, if it says no gas cloud is adjacent to a dwarf planet, then we know that both of these are gas clouds, right? So let's see. Planet X cannot be adjacent to the dwarf planet. So that means planet X cannot be in 3. That means that is the case. So truly, I'll just put an E. We know that for a fact. So we have planet X, 2 gas clouds, and 1 truly empty left to figure out. let me see. If this were a gas cloud, this means that's truly empty, which means that's a gas cloud. That checks out. If this were a gas cloud, both of those would have to be truly empty, and that can't be the case. So that means the gas cloud's here and the gas cloud's here. Yay! So that means the gas cloud's got to be there. Gas cloud's got to be there. That means that's where planet X is, y'all. Right there. Woo! All right, but we can't do anything yet. Yes! All right. Okay, so now the bot's going to take their turn. So I'm just going to mark where we solved it, which is right there. Okay, so the bot's going to take their turn. They are going to take a turn. They should be in 5. They are. They target sector 10, and they advance 4 times. So target 10, advance 4. 1, 2, 3, and wait, 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. Okay, so there. Well, let's go ahead and put this bad boy right there. And now the game will go ahead and submit a theory. They are on 9, checks out. They submit a theory on 9. So now start on 1. Advance, advance, advance. Stop there. Go ahead and there. So 5 confirms so peer review for 5 as a comet. Yay! All right, cool. So that advances here. Advance, advance. It's our turn. Let's go ahead and let's locate planet X, shall we? In 6. So here we go. Locate planet X. That cost us 5 times. So let's go ahead and do that first. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. That's going to be in sector 6. But now, as I mentioned, we have to figure this out. Sector 5 is a comet. Sector 7 is a comet. Let's see. Drum roll. Woo! We found planet X. All right, so now the bot needs to know where on the time track your player pawn is located. After we have advanced, we are now at 2. Advance 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. So now the game takes final action. Bot's pawn is currently in 9. Checks out. It is. They're allowed to submit up to 2 theories. They submit a theory in 10 and 2. All right, so now a moment. All right, now complete the reveal object step for your theory tokens as normal. For the bot's theory tokens, don't flip them. All right, okay. Tally the scores for you and the bot player as normal. So here we go. Okay. Get to this, make sure I do this right. Okay. Okay, so Score 1 point for each sector where you were the first player to submit a correct theory about the object in that sector. So, 1, 2, 3, 4 points for us. So I'm going to do us in green and him in orange. Then for him, he gets 1, 2, 3. Then some score points for each correct theory you submitted. So we have an asteroid, dwarf planet, a comet, and a comet. Okay, so for asteroids, that's going to be 1. Then for 9 and 10, let me go ahead and put these out for him. So that is an asteroid. 10 is going to be a gas cloud. Then 1 is going to be an asteroid. Clearly that is an asteroid. Okay. All right. So for us, asteroids, we have 1 asteroid. Ah, wrong pen. Hold on. There it is. So we got 2 points for an asteroid. He has 1, 2, 3. That's going to be a total of 6 for him. Okay. And then comets, he has none of those. Check that. He has 1. So that'll be 3 for him. And gas clouds, he has 1 of those, which will be 4. And he has no dwarf planet. Done. For us, we have 2 comets, which will be 6. No gas cloud, and 4. Okay. Then, locating planet X. If we were the first one, we get 10. If they correctly, they did not. Here we go. So the bot scores 6, 10, 16 points. And we scored 10, 14, 26. What up? Victory to us. Now, just to make sure, yes, end game. So, 1 is an asteroid, yes. 2 is an asteroid, yes. 3 is an empty sector, yes. 4 is a dwarf planet, yes. Then comet, planet X, comet, yes. Asteroid, asteroid, gas cloud, empty, and gas cloud. Woohoo! Now, to help out the app here, we're going to go ahead, submit it. Just showing you guys all the steps here. It goes on to the Google Doc there. So we got your game code. So our total score was 26. The bot's total score was 16. It automatically goes through there and will be a team player and go ahead and submit it. Awesome. There we go. Done. Victory! Awesome. There we go. So, that is the search for Planet X. Now, that was standard game, which is 12 sectors, and that was experience, which is 4 clues. You can modify that, right, for the number of clues for the standard game, less or more. In fact, let me show you guys this actually. Let me get back to this. Okay, so now, you know what? Let's go ahead. Show you guys that. Here, let's bring up the app. Give it a second. All right, so solo game. So new solo, if we were to do standard mode, we hit start game, whatever. I'm not gonna actually reveal anything, so don't worry, fine, winter, whatever. And then here, so the 3 different levels that we have on that, Okay? So 0, 4, or 8 clues. Let's just go back. If we were to do expert mode for, I'm sorry, I said 16, it's 18 sectors. There's that, whatever, I'm not gonna ruin anything, so there you go. And again, it's 8, 4, or 0 codes there. Or things that you know or don't know, or facts you know to start the game. So there you go. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Thank you for the help, everybody. So I didn't embarrass myself too bad. We did it in, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 turns it took us. Don't think we made any major mistakes. That was a lot of fun. So collectively, Peanut Gallery in the herd. Well done, everybody. If you guys want me to do another playthrough of this on the expert side, I'll do it next week. You guys tell me if you want to do that now that you've seen the rules and you see how the game plays. I gotta say, this is awfully damn clever and really well done. Just really well done. Yeah, that's really, really cool. All right, so I would like to, but now let's go ahead and talk about the big thing, right? And that is this thing, that, right? How do we feel about that? I am 99% of the time I don't like it because A, it puts a time limit on how long the game lasts, right? And what I mean by longevity of the game, not how long an actual playthrough lasts. But what I mean by that is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is the app going to be supported? That's the biggest bugaboo, right? So that puts a limit on the game. That's number one. Or apprehension about apps and games. That's number one. Number two is taking myself out of the equation because I host a show on YouTube and host a podcast as well. So I'm constantly in front of screens, right? Whether it's TVs, whether it's monitors, I mean, whether it's our phone, whether it's a tablet, whatever. A lot of us play games to get away from all that, right? So now we're bringing that back in to things. So that's bugaboo number two, or apprehension on that. Number three is, and I haven't tested it, I don't know the answer to this. Does the app work if you don't have Wi-Fi? Let's find out. You know what? It doesn't matter, does it? So if you don't have Wi-Fi, let's say it does work. Okay, great, you can play offline. So the power goes out or whatever, right? You can still use the app if it's on your phone or tablet or whatever. But for those apps that you can't, that you got to connect to online, that sucks, right? That's another bugaboo or apprehension. Another thing is, does everybody need an app for that? Now, there are apps out there for games that aren't the case, to where one person, you know, whether it's like Secret Hitler or whatever, any of the werewolf or whatever, only one person. Here, every player, you can share that code. They can enter a code to where the board is oriented towards them, right? And the everything is oriented towards them. So, So honestly, I really don't like apps. I don't want to play online board games. I don't enjoy it. I know a lot of you guys out there do. But for me, I'm trying to unplug whenever I try and play games. Now, obviously, when I'm streaming a game, that's a different animal. But we're talking big picture. Game day, I just want to be able to play a game, right? And I imagine that's the same for you guys. So I usually don't like apps when it comes to games. However, in instances very specific to stuff like this, I think it works really well. And this way you don't have to have like a GM, right? You don't have to have somebody running the game. So in an instance specific to this, I like this use of an app. I support that. I think it's I think it's viable. I think it's a good use. If you're going to introduce electronics to a board game, this is the way to do it. And specific to deduction type games like this, I think it's really well done. So I support that. As far as the search for Planet X particular, I think the app's perfect for what it does. It walks you through it. It's very simple. It's very streamlined. The history, oh God, I screwed something up. Did I move this? Did I do something? Whatever. The fact that it has that history button on there, that's a big deal. That's awesome. Also, something I didn't show you guys is there's a whole lot of these. Plus you could photocopy, right? So for instance, the one that we just did here, which is the Winter Solstice Standard, on the other side is the Winter Solstice Expert. So there you go. So especially if you're going to play solo, you could just laminate one of each, and then you have perfect ones. You don't have to worry about going through. But let's face it, are you really going to go through that many? Most people aren't playing the game that many times. Tons of replayability. So just because you saw this stream doesn't mean that you can't play this solo. There are, I'm not going to say infinite, but there are oodles of various scenarios. And if you get the same code that we did, C8F4, change it to something else. Go to a different one, and it's a new game for you. So yeah, really well done, both for the design, the implementation of the app, the very low overhead for components, not a big table hog, and all the rules that you need are all right here in front of your player board. So if you're playing multiplayer, yeah, I think they nailed it. So big props to Foxtrot and Renegade. I'm not sure who came first, you know, chicken or the egg, but, and I don't know which company sent this to me, but really well done. Just solid stuff all the way around. I really didn't know how I was going to like this, to be honest, and I loved it. I think it's fantastic. So if you guys enjoyed this, give it a thumb. Now I will ask for your thumbs. Subscriptions, subscribe. Come on, hit the little bell notification. And better yet, or not better yet, but on top of that, support the show. If you find this entertaining, if you find this valuable for helping you make a decision on board games, support the show. Go to pledgehc.com, support the show. If you think it's worth a couple bucks a month, if you think we're helping you save money, whether it's from the playthroughs, the interviews, the girl stamp, any of that stuff, support the show over on pledgehc.com. I certainly would appreciate it. That said, now let me go through all the chat. I'm curious to see what folks have said. Gooserino says, might fall between Alchemist and Cryptid for me. I only played Alchemist when it first came out, and I thought the premise was cool, but I just didn't like the way it was done up. It didn't grab me. I really didn't enjoy that, and I haven't played Cryptid, so I can't speak to that. And Eric says it isn't trivial to incorporate the theme into the straight deduction game. I think that worked well, and it's a realistic theme, right? Because how do you explain the fact that we have gas giants on the outside where they are? Like, it doesn't make sense. So was another planet kicked out, or is there another Planet X out there? We don't know yet. I think that's pretty cool. That's cool. Okay, Murr says, and some of us don't own a cell phone. Okay, Murr, it's a fair point, but it's 2020 also, and I expect that the overwhelming majority of folks that are into hobby board games, that won't be the case. But it's a valid point, and I don't want to discount that. That's fair. I just think that's the exception to the rule. And Chad says some of the app-based board game publishers are putting the code in a repository to be released as app open source if they stop supporting the app. Okay, so awesome. That's a positive to that. Let's see. And Christopher says, as far as long-term viability, I prefer having a post-app option, be it open source, or like Alchemist, where there's components for an extra player to be the app. Fair enough. I have not played this multiplayer yet. Only played it solo, so can't speak to that yet, Justin. Astra apparently is a Logic Games new stuff, so that's cool. Christopher, that's funny. Mur says, if we helped you save money, that'd be funny if that was the case. Okay, let me rephrase that. Well, no, I'm not going to rephrase that, because I feel like with these playthroughs, we are helping you, the viewer, make informed decisions on whether or not a game is going to be a good fit for you and your group. Now, I'm not selling a game. I couldn't care less whether or not you buy The Search for Planet X or any other game out there. My job, as I see it, is to present the game and help you guys. Hey, that looks really good. I would enjoy playing that. My group would enjoy playing that. Thank you for steering me in a good direction. Or, wow, that is a game that is not going to be good. I don't like X, Y, or Z about that game. Not a good fit. So in that regard, we help save you money, I would argue. And I don't think we're helping you spend money. We're helping you make informed decisions. So if we've done that, support the show. That, I think, is a viable thing. Oh, apparently this was on Kickstarter. I was unaware. All right. Oh, and Steven says, with the app, I was able to play last night with a friend using Zoom. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because you share the code, and I could do this multiplayer, actually, against the herd. I could have some folks in on Zoom, and we could play. Maybe that's what we do next week. Huh. Play that with a couple patrons on there? That could happen. Just saying. All right, so there you go. That's it. That's the end of it. So I think it's an interesting discussion, right? As a general rule, I hate apps. I don't, for board games. I want board games and I want online stuff. Very separate. This is the one exception that I have found where I would blur that line. But there's a lot of games that have apps out there that I have not played because of that. But I will say, well done on this implementation. I think it was really cool. And yeah, I enjoyed it. So hopefully you guys did as well. Like, subscribe, support, all of that stuff. I will be back, let's see, tomorrow. Oh, yeah, right. It's going to be me, Jess, Martin, and Greg. We're going to be busting out a 4-player Tinder's Trail. 7 p.m. Eastern, 0100 across the pond. Tune in for that. I'll see you then. Until then, and after then, I'm Edward. Stay kind to one another. Be kind to one another. Wear your masks. Social distance. I mean, I have my mask right here. I'm going to go get some food, and then we're going to be playing Tinder's Trail off camera. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. Thanks for the support. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. Woohoo! We won! Good job, Herd. Peanut Gallery. Well done, everybody. Well done.